Welcome to Elysia.js tutorials. In this video I will try to explore what is in this framework. But before that you have to install Bun.js first. And do upgrades. Now we create project Elysia. You can reload your Bun application with nodemon. But you have to create a file named nodemon.json. Nodemon will automatically monitor changes to your files. Even when you save, it will reload automatically. After that you also have to install the nodemon package. And run it with the command bun run nodemon. And I will test first, whether the changes can be made with this nodemon. Now I will create a route with the post method. And catch what is sent via the request body JSON. By default Elysia already supports type header content type application JSON and text. Now we try to see if it works. Here I sent it with the post method and the body contains the username. But don't forget to set the content type to JSON format. Here I have got the value in the input body of the request. In Elysia you can validate your input. Because Elysia has a library available for validation, which has been installed automatically there, so you no longer need to install it. I will do validation for id and username. So two pieces of the field must be filled. Otherwise it cannot be processed or displays an error message. Sorry, an error occurred. I forgot to import the module on Elysia. Here I would make the mistake of not assigning a value to id, which should later show an error, because I didn't fill in the id section. And it worked. And I will complete the input, namely id and username. Then no error will appear there. Now I'm going to fetch the value of the id parameter with the get method. And now we try again. I will fill in some parameters and those parameters will appear as return. And we continue again. How to get a query on the get method? Almost the same way as before. You only need to add query arguments. Now let's try again. I will send an integer query to the URL and it should display it in the browser. And for the next is transform. For transform it is useful to take your parameters, but can process your parameters according to what you want. Just an example. I want to do it which is incremented by 1. So the value will be increased by 1. And we try to see if it works. Pay attention to the return id value. It will increase by 1 according to the id we provide in the URL. And its value will always increase by 1. But you can change the logic according to what you want. For the next is state and decorate. State is useful for storing your variables on the server, but not on local storage. It just keeps it as long as you don't refresh the page. If you refresh, the state will disappear. And to decorate, he is almost the same as state. And I give an example here. I did settings on decorate to display the current time, and display the state value and decorate value to your route method. Now we try whether it works well. Yes, it works. You can do other logic, which can be used in state and decorate there. Now I will make an increment state, which when refreshed on the browser does not disappear, or continue to increase in value, and to inject. Works to run a function and make changes to the state you created. And the function of derive is to make changes in real time when there is a change in your state. I made two derives, namely double and minimal. Double to fetch and automatically add your state values. And minimal too. And I will display it in the get method. Now let's try to see the changes in the browser. Let's see if the state created really works well. You see, the state has changed now. Now we try to perform protection on a particular route. You can lock your route, and can only be accessed if you have a token. Here I just keep it simple. With token 12,345, and I also created post route method. And check if you have token, to access this route. And you can also do input validation by requiring the filling of several fields. Now we try. Here I will test whether the protection is active, by not filling in the token there. And supposedly with no token, then an error appears. And I try to fill it arbitrarily for tokens, and get an error not authorized. So it's been working fine. And further, we can install a middleware or as a middleman. If from input to process then output, Then that process is called middleware. Just a simple example, we will retrieve a header from the request via any route, and view the contents of a header in it. And here I fill a header with the name myHeader, and send it on my bunt server. And try to see it in your terminal, because I use console.log. Excuse me. I misplaced my code. I'll fix it in a bit. In this framework, already provided how to set the cookie by using the setCookie function. But you need to install the package first. Now I test and see if the cookie is already stored in my browser storage. You can use this cookie for your authentication login history when you want to create a login feature. Now let's come to the last topic. It's about Eden. Eden is the client SDK of the Elysia framework to access data from each route. But with Eden, you don't need to do HTTP requests like fetch or Axios. Eden can do this with just a few lines of syntax. You can do this in frameworks like React.js, Vue.js, or other JavaScript frameworks. I gave an example of making a client with a simple TypeScript file. But it's better if you can do it in the JavaScript framework, like React.js. In the first syntax, I want to fetch data from route/ or main route with getRequest method, and display it in my console terminal. And an example of the second syntax. I want to access protected route using correct and false token to test it working or not. And the third syntax. I want to read a request header and display it in the terminal console.
And this last syntax. I want to request post data to the server. By sending JSON data to server. And displays it again to the console terminal.
And it works fine. Then maybe you can connect this framework to a MySQL or SQLite database to do create read delete update. And so this tutorial may be useful for you.